Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, the heartbeat of every Detroit Lions fan who lives and breathes Honolulu blue and silver, where today we dive into a story that could change everything we know about the future of this team. Rumors are swirling, whispers growing louder, all pointing to a seismic move in the making, one that could redefine the Lions' defense for the next decade. Malaki Starks, one of the brightest stars in college football, is being heavily linked to Detroit, and the signs are becoming harder and harder to ignore. If you're a Lions fan, if you're a believer in one pride, you need to sit down and listen closely because what's unfolding behind the scenes could be historic. Malaki Starks isn't just another draft prospect. He's a transformational player, the type of athlete, the type of competitor that teams spend years trying to find. Watching his tape, you see a safety who moves like a corner, hits like a linebacker, and thinks like a defensive coordinator. His play recognition is almost eerie at times, diagnosing route combinations before receivers even finish their stems, baiting quarterbacks into mistakes, closing on the ball with a ferocity and precision that simply doesn't teach itself. Some players chase greatness. Starks looks like he was born for it. And the Lions? They know it. They see it. According to multiple reports from inside the league, Detroit's front office, led by the sharp mind of Brad Holmes and the relentless heart of Dan Campbell, have placed Malaki Starks at the very top of their defensive wish list. They see a player who could do for their defense what Aiden Hutchinson has done for their pass rush, change the calculus for every offensive coordinator who faces them. Sources suggest that conversations have already begun. Preliminary trade scenarios are being floated. Scouts are quietly being reassigned to double and triple check every facet of Starks' game, background, and character. The Lions are not just doing due diligence, they're laying the groundwork for what could be a franchise-altering move. And why wouldn't they? Starks' combination of size, speed, physicality, and football IQ simply doesn't come around very often. Players with his skill set and intangibles don't just fill a role, they create new ones. Imagine a future where Detroit's secondary features a three-headed monster, Kirby Joseph patrolling center field, Brian Branch dominating in the slot, and Malaki Starks roaming free, destroying passing lanes, confusing quarterbacks, shutting down the deep ball. It's a nightmare scenario for opposing offenses. You wouldn't just be playing against a defense, you'd be playing against a chessboard where every move you make has already been anticipated 2 steps ahead. But it doesn't stop there. Because Malaki Starks would allow Aaron Glenn, the Lions' defensive coordinator, to unleash his full creative potential. With Starks' versatility, Detroit could blur the lines between nickel, dime, and base packages. They could show heavy fronts before dropping 8 into coverage. They could disguise blitzes from the secondary like never before. In effect, adding Starks would make the Lions' defense unpredictable, dynamic, and extremely dangerous. It's the kind of move that turns playoff wins into Super Bowl berths. When you look at recent NFL history, the teams that take the leap from good to great almost always do so by acquiring a rare defensive talent at just the right time. Think of what Earl Thomas meant to the Legion of Boom. Think about what Troy Polamalu did for the Steelers' dynasty years. Those weren't just safeties. They were tone-setters, heartbeat players. They didn't just react to games. They dictated them. That's the kind of upside Malaki Starks carries, and that's why Detroit is reportedly willing to be aggressive to get him. Make no mistake, it would likely cost a lot. Trading up into the top 10, maybe even the top 7, would demand serious capital. We're talking about this year's first-round pick, a second-rounder, maybe even a future first or third. It's a bold play, but boldness has defined Brad Holmes' era in Detroit. When he saw his guy in Aiden Hutchinson, he didn't hesitate. When he needed a weapon like Jahmyr Gibbs, he pulled the trigger, even against the doubters. Holmes isn't afraid to bet on elite talent, and Starks fits that philosophy to perfection. The Lions are entering a rare window of opportunity. Jared Goff is playing the best football of his career. The offensive line is elite. The young core is hungry and ascending. What they need now is the kind of defensive firepower that can match the offense blow for blow, drive for drive, under the biggest lights. Malaki Starks could be the missing piece, the final catalyst that turns potential into dominance. Adding Starks would also send a message, not just to the locker room, but to the entire league. It would signal that Detroit is no longer content to be a feel-good underdog story. They're here to win championships. They're here to dominate. They're here to become the team that nobody wants to play in January and February. And think about the ripple effects. With Starks anchoring the secondary, It would make life easier for every player around him. Corners like Cam Sutton and Emmanuel Mosley would be able to play more aggressively, knowing they have safety help that can erase mistakes. Linebackers like Jack Campbell would have more freedom to attack downhill, trusting that the deep part of the field is locked down. Even the defensive line would benefit, with quarterbacks being forced to hold the ball just a beat longer, allowing Hutchinson, Houston, and Pascal to wreak havoc. Beyond the X's and O's, there's the culture impact. Starks is a high-character leader, a film junkie, a weight room warrior, and a relentless competitor. He fits the grit mantra that Dan Campbell preaches better than almost any prospect in this draft. He's the type of player who would walk into Allen Park and immediately command respect, not by shouting, but by the way he works, by the way he performs when it matters most. Imagine training camp practices, iron sharpening iron, with Starks going head-to-head against players like Monterey St. Brown, pushing each other to greatness. Imagine the standard he would set for the young players coming up behind him. He's the kind of player who doesn't just elevate the defense, he elevates the entire organization. And there's still the long-term vision to consider. Drafting Malaki Starks now isn't just about 2025. It's about building a defensive core that can sustain dominance for years to come. By pairing Starks with Joseph, Branch, Hutchinson, and Campbell, the Lions would be setting themselves up for a half-decade run of defensive excellence, matching the longevity of the 49ers' front seven or the Steelers' legendary units of the past. Of course, nothing is guaranteed. Other teams are eyeing Starks too. The draft is unpredictable. Deals fall apart. Plans change. But the smoke around Detroit and Starks is growing thicker by the day. And where there's smoke in the NFL, there's often fire. If the Lions do manage to pull this off, we could be witnessing a defining moment in franchise history. Years from now, fans might look back and remember the 2025 draft as the moment Detroit stopped rebuilding and started ruling. As the moment one pride truly rose. As the moment the Lions became the hunted, not the hunters. Keep your eyes and ears open, Lions fans. The next few weeks could be franchise-defining. And if Brad Holmes decides to push all the chips to the center of the table for Malaki Starks, it just might be the beginning of something truly special in Detroit. So, buckle up. Stay locked in. Because the future is coming fast. And it might just be wearing Honolulu blue. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more inside stories, hit that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and ring that bell for notifications. Big things are coming. One pride. Always.